Oh, we're doing a maimer. You know what? I didn't send the maimer. I apologize for that, but you should now have the PDF of this new maimer up and available for you to follow with me inside as we learn. Okay? I'm having some camera trouble because I managed to break my tripod, which was just purchased on a Bisha'a Mazik, looks like. This is a maimer that the Rebbe said Erev Shavuos in Tovshan Lamachas 1978, Bisha'a Shehikdimu Yisrael, Na'asa, ונשמע. So sort of let's just state the obvious, okay? This is what I heard from Ashpiyim and from smart people, and of course I lived it, so I suppose it's not just what I heard from others. As soon as there was a hookup, as soon as the Rebbe knew that what he was saying was being broadcast live all over the world, particularly in Israel, where there was the largest yishuv of the Lubavitcher Hasidim, and then of course in all of the 50 states of the Union, and in Australia, and in Europe, and in South America, the Rebbe started to make a fabrengen out of every Yom Tov. Erev Rosh Hashanah was a fabrengen, Erev Sukkot was a fabrengen, the Erev Pesach fabrengen was usually, of course, the Rebbe's birthday, Yud Aleph Nissen, and Erev Shavuos was a fabrengen. And of course the reason for this was because the Rebbe was, of course, very aware of the fact that there are what they call Chassidim and Ari Asada all over the world. And this was an opportunity for the Rebbe to make a fabreng for Anash everywhere, that they should be with the Rebbe for Yom Tov. And as a rule, for much of that time, not all the years, but for much of that time, probably for 15 years or more, one of the highlights of this Erev Yom Tov fabreng and Erev Rosh Hashanah, Erev Sukkot, Erev Pesach, Erev Shavuos was a Maimer Chassidus. The Maimer Chassidus, the Rebbe said Erev Yom Tov, was often a Yom Tov Dika Maimer, a Yom Tov connected to Shavuos in this case, a Yom Tov connected to Rosh Hashanah, a Yom Tov connected to Sukkot, or a Maimer connected to Shavuos, or to Rosh Hashanah, or to Sukkot, or to Pesach. I've also found that occasionally the Maimer that the Rebbe said Erev Yom Tov, and then the Rebbe always fabreng Matzah Yom Tov, Matzah Rosh Hashanah was a fabreng, Matzah Simchas Torah was a fabreng, Matzah Pesach was a fabreng, and Matzah Shavuos was a fabreng. You could see that the two Maimarim were connected, not necessarily mamish, a repetition, but they were quite connected, sometimes a Hemshech. This is 1978 of Shlomo Ches, and it's Erev Shavuos, and the Rebbe is saying a maimer. But as I'm looking now at my page, I just realized that entire speech was irrelevant because it was Shabbos. So I gave you information, and turns out the information was not timely. But we all believe in Hashgacha Pratis, so evidently the information is timely, even though I said it at the wrong time. It's a short maimer, 5 pages. And considering what we've been dealing with for the last 2 or 3 months, 5 pages is tiny. We've been dealing with 12-page maimarim, 13-page maimarim. This maimer is 5 pages. And it has a kasha and a teretz, the whole maimer. The kasha of the maimer is that the days leading up to Matan Torah were extraordinary. They were amazing. Rosh Chodesh Sivan was an amazing day. Erev Matan Torah, Hey Sivan, which is the date of Bisha'a Shehikdimu, Yisrael, Na'asa, ונשמע, was also an amazing day. So exactly what was special about the Vayera Davayel Sinai, when the Eibishter finally came down on a mountain and gave the Torah, and this is considered the ultimate day, the supreme day. What happened on that date that sets it apart, that makes it higher and more important than the dates leading up to Matan Torah? This is the question. And the answer in short is that before Matan Torah there were what you call in Lashon Hasidus incredible giluyim, unbelievable revelations. But the event of the giving of the Torah is Atzimus Amhos, the Eibishter gave us himself. And accordingly, Matan Torah is not considered a little bit better or substantially better than the dates leading up to it, the Rosh Chodesh, Sivan, and Erev Matan Torah, but it's a whole other category. That's the maimer. You can go home. I just told you the whole maimer in a couple of sentences. So let's do a good shtikel hagdama, a geschmack shtikel hagdama. It's brought in Likutei Sichos. It's based on Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. The Rebbe's Sikh is, quote, a machlokes zwischen dem Tur mit den alten Rebben. That's how it's marketed. From the Rosh Chodesh Sivan till Yud Beis Sivan, we don't say Tachnan. Why? So, there's different answers. According to the Alter Rebbe, the days leading up to Matan Torah, every day is a different Yom Tov. Every day is a different Yom Tov. Okay? Now let's go according to the Rabbanon. Let's not do Rabbi Yossi. They arrived in Har Sinai Monday. Rosh Chodesh Sivan was Monday. That date, brilliant Sikha, what the Rebbe explains. God said nothing because they were tired from traveling, and it's explained in Hasidus that this means that they achieved a journey to a place of bittul, to a place of silence, which is why on that date they achieved the Vichon Sham Yisrael Ki'ish Echad B'Leiv Echad, the highest Achdas Yisrael. On the outside Ki'ish Echad, and on the inside B'Leiv Echad will achieve that date. The next day, which was Tuesday, Moshe went up the mountain Bashkama Kedarki B'Kodesh, and the Eibusha gave him a contract, whether it was written or was oral. He gave him a contract. The contract included, of course, two things: what he's offering, what he's demanding. He's offering that we would be a Mamlachas Kayanim and a Gay Kodesh and a Sgula. And he's asking him, Shamei Tishmu B'Keli, you gotta do what I say. Follow the Eibusha's instructions. So Moshe came down to the Yidden that date on Tuesday, and he read the contract, or he spoke the contract, and the Yidden said, we agree. Na'aseh. The next morning, now it's already Wednesday, and it's Gimel, Sivan. Moshe Rabbeinu again goes up Bashkama, according to Rashi. Moshe only went up Bashkama, and he tells the Eibusha that the Yidden agree. Eibusha says, good, go down and put up a fence, and tell the Jewish people as follows. They're going to be outside the fence, and they're not going to hear a word. They're not prophets. God talks to prophets. I'm going to come to you in a cloud. In other words, there's going to be a gestalt, what the Rishonim who are not Mukubalim call Kovid Nivra, that's going to represent the Shechina, that's going to appear on the mountain. The people are not going to hear what Hashem is saying, but they're just going to see that I'm talking to you. And therefore, it's going to fortify, it's going to secure the power, the authority of the prophet. And in this case, the prophet is Moshe Rabbeinu. So this Wednesday, Moshe gets from the Eibishter not just the contract, but the process, how it's all in the meeting. So he comes down from this mountain on this here Wednesday. He tells the Jewish people what's going to happen. The Eibush is going to talk to me, and you're going to be witnesses. You know, this business with Yidden being witnesses is a very, very important thing in Rambam. That the Nevuah is not based on Ruach HaKodesh or Isis Mefsim, and it doesn't predicting the future. It's based on Edis. We saw. In the Rambam's words, we're witnesses to the Yidden Nevuah. So Moshe comes to the Yidden with the terms, and the Yidden say, no, good. It's a Malkeinu. We don't sign contract unless we meet him face to face. If the Eibush is making business with us, he's going to talk to us. And if I may put words into Moshe Rabbeinu's mouth, Moshe says, are you sure? He's a very menacing partner. Being in his presence is overwhelming. And the Yidden said, yeah, we want to meet him. So the next day, which is now Dalet Sivan, Thursday, Moshe goes up the mountain. And the Eibusha says, good. They want to meet me personally. Hashem was very thrilled. Shleishes Yom, 3 days. Which means you could almost say that if not for the Jewish people's renegotiating, Matan Torah would have been on Thursday. But they waited 2 more days. Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. Shleishes Yom doesn't mean 3 days. It means the 3rd day. Mashenkin according to Rabbi Yossi, Ve'enkan Amokam Marach Bazeh. Al Tikshu Elisha. They should do precious. The following day was Friday. This is Hey Sivan. Moshe was Magaya, the Jewish people. All the Jewish people went through a Geirus. They went to the mikveh. They brought a carbon. The blood was sprinkled upon them. And they all declared together Na'aseh ונשמע, which is called Kabbalas HaMitzvahs. And like it says in Allah, Moshe Rabbeinu read from Sefer HaBris, mitzvahs kalas, mitzvahs chamuris, and all the other things. What about Bris Milah? Bris Milah they did not have to do Erev Matan Torah because they had done it in order to bring Kol Ben Nechel LaYechelbe, Karol LaYechelbe. To eat the Korban Pesach 2 months earlier, they had to do a Bris. Friday. Shabbos, you didn't go to sleep Friday night. The Eibishter wakes up early, comes to the chasna, shows up to the chasna, the kala, and the mechutanim are not there, so they have to be woken up and schlepped out of the camp. And we all know what happened. They kept on expiring. Every time Hashem said another dibur, the neshamas left, Malachim brought him back. They said, Malachim tzvois, Yedaden, to bring the neshamas Yisrael back, until finally Yidden said, you know what, remember plan A? They tell Moshe Rabbeinu, remember plan A? Hashem is going to talk to you and we're just going to watch, instead of Hashem talking to us. Moshe says, yes, so let's go back to plan A. So Rashi, Moshe was so disappointed He'd been so heartened when the Jewish people said that Hashem should talk to us directly, and he was so disheartened when the Jewish people were frightened off because they kept on dying, because you can't become a Navi in 2 days. You become a Navi in 2 lifetimes. In 2 days of preparation for Nevuah, this is what happens. And the Eibishter tells Moshe Rabbeinu, they're right. And they're right about both things. They're right that they should have heard the Aseret HaDibros from me, and they're right that the rest of the Torah they should hear through you. And of course, the way that Rambam explains it, this fortifies, this strengthens the koyach of a Navi, so to speak, the dependency upon the Nevuah. These are the preparation days and events for Har Sinai. Our Maimer focuses on 3. Rosh Chodesh Sivan, they came to Har Sinai, achieved Achdus, and the Rebbe focuses on every single word in the pasuk. B'chodesh hashlishi, b'tzeitzel beit Mitzrayim, b'yom hazeh, bo midbar Sinai, v'yisum refidim, v'yichad shemashal neged. Then the Maimer focuses on Bisha'a Shehikdimu Yisrael, Na'asa, ונשמע, Friday, when Yidden said Na'asa, ונשמע. And then, of course, finally, Matan Torah. And the Rebbe's point is to say that even though these lead-up days were so incredibly great and so incredibly holy, as they say in Yiddish, to Matan Torah kommt es nicht, to the actual meeting between man and God and man, which took place on that Shabbos morning early, when the Chosin came down on the mountain, and the Kala was woken up and schlepped out of the camp and brought Betachtes Ahor. And the Eibishter said, Anecha Avaya Lekecha, this is a whole nother Gilui, and in our Maimer, the Rebbe calls it a Gilui of Atzmas. So we're going to learn the Maimer now, okay? But I can't learn it in order, because if I learn it in order, you don't need me. But on the other hand, it should be learned in order. So what we're doing is this: we're going to learn the second paragraph, and then we're going to learn the first paragraph, and then after that, the rest of it we're going to learn in order. It's a short little Maimer. Why am I changing the order? Because I want to go in the chronological order. The first chronological event is Rosh Chodesh Sivan, in our Maimer, of course. The second chronological event is Hey Sivan Erev Matan Torah, when the Yidden said Na'asa ונשמע. And the third chronological event is actually Aseret HaDibros, which took place on Shabbos, as the Gemara says, L'kul la'alma b'Shabbos nitna Torah. It says the Rebbe v'yesh lahisa b'zeh she'ed lifnei chamisha b'Sivan, even before Erev Shavuos. Hinei kfar b'Rosh Chodesh Sivan, and we're starting here. Beginning already on Rosh Chodesh, ho yubnei Yisrael b'dargin nailas b'yeseh, the Jewish people on an incredibly high level, b'shayches l'matan Torah, in as much as they were getting ready for Hashem to give them the Torah, and of course for them to take and receive the Torah. Rabbi say, you know, that says in Rishonim, it's brought in Chassidus, that the Yidden Poshet counted the days. They were told that in Rashi say, b'seif shleish chadoshim. Let's say some in Mitzrayim, they're going to get the Torah. You didn't count the days till Matan Torah. They counted. So of course they counted, the closer they got, the more excited they became. And this is mamish, a few days before they came to Har Sinai. They were certainly most excited. The Pasuk says, B'chodesh hashlishi v'geim, in the 3rd month, it says, B'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim, for the time the Jewish people left Egypt. B'yom hazeh, on this day, midbar Sinai, the Jewish people came to the desert of Sinai. And then, of course, that's in the next pasuk, midbar Sinai, and then the pasuk finishes, Vichon sham Yisrael neged har, the Jewish people rested adjacent to the mountain, and of course, as Vichon lashon yachid, he rested. It says in Chassidus, skip the parenthesis. Even this date will happen to be Rosh Chodesh. As we have the Gezerah Shavuos, you'll see later, the Jews stood ready and upstanding to receive the Torah. In a way, they're ready to get it. Why? A bunch of reasons. Reason number 1. If you look at the details of this pasuk, you'll see how ready they were then, Rosh Chodesh, to get the Torah. Number 1, the first words, the 3rd month. Torah has to do with the number 3. As you know, 1 goes on, there's nothing but God. 2 is that there's division, there's machlekes, and 3 is oiseh shalom. Even though you have division, you have unity. Torah is inyan hashalom. From Rosh Chodesh, they're already in the 3rd month, even though they would get the Torah on the 6th day of the 3rd month. But from Rosh Chodesh, they're already in the 3rd month. And the number 3 is connected to the giving of the Torah. First of all, it's a Gemara. The Gemara says the Yav orientally saw Hashem gave the Torah, which is 3. Laamkli to a nation of 3 Levim of Yisrael. Ayadaitli thrice to a 3rd child, Mesha, Aaron, Miriam, Aaron, Mesha. B'yem Tlisai, in the third day of Shleishes Yemei Miluyim, Dalad, of Shleishes Yemei Hakbala, Dalad Hevov, B'yarchat Tlisai, in the third month, Nisan Yasiv. Ukofishamei, so Rav Nisan Gon, of course, the Rebbe always brings this. That Rav Nisan Gon has a whole bunch of other examples of Tlisai. Additional thing connected to the number 3 as is connected to Matan Torah. So first of all, the number one reason or argument that from Reish Chodesh Sivan Yidden are ready to receive the Torah already because it's Chodesh HaShlishi, third month. Torah is number 3. Number 2, Chodesh HaShlishi Teis B'nei Yisrael Be'etzayim B'yem Hazeh, 3 lines from the bottom of page Shin, Tes, Zayin. Is also a raya that they're ready to receive the Torah. It doesn't say what the date is. It was only that it was this date with the word Zeh. We don't know what Zeh means. We have from Torah Shabbal Peh, from a Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Pei Vav Amid Beis, as it says in footnote 11. You'll see why I'm pointing this out, because there's a tasteless, which is Negeya. Later, footnote 13. Shehu b'Reish Chodesh, that this day was Reish Chodesh because it says Vayem Hazeh Bo Midbar Sinai, so the Chodesh is Alachem Reish Chodesh. Malahal Reish Chodesh, you can't Reish Chodesh. That Reish Chodesh Nisan. Hashem spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Lashon is a Chodesh Hazeh. So when it says Vayem Hazeh, we assume it's also Reish Chodesh. However, there's a diuk that the fact that B'Chodesh Hashlishi, it says B'nei Yisrael Me'ed to sign Vayem Hazeh. Vayem Hazeh means what? The inyan of Reish Chodesh, but it has a very strong connection to Shavuos, or to Matan Torah. In other words, as the Rebbe said before, that l'chayda they could have received the Torah on this date. What's the chaysh from V'gam? You do kuch l'teis asks the question. Amay lo yalef hachak zera shava midbar. In Masechta Pesachim, this is the Gemara in Shabbos, but in Masechta Pesachim the Gemara uses the same pasuk to learn the inyan of Reish Chodesh, but not from the word hazeh, but from the word midbar. So there's a Taisus in Shabbos. I actually took out the Taisus. Here's the Gemara, and I opened it up and looked inside. It's a long Taisus. It starts with the word. No, it's a short Taisus. And he asks from the Gemara in Pesachim, and he asks at the end. He asks a question, because the Gemara in Pesachim is not talking about Matan Torah. The Gemara in Pesachim is talking about the shita that holds that it's Shnei Shavuos, right? The 2 days. You have to prepare for Yom Tov 30 days before or 2 weeks before. So I want to bring it out 2 weeks from this pasuk. At the very end of Teisves it says midbar. Over here in Shabbos, Daf Pei Vav Amid Beis, that we're learning that Yidden arrived at Har Sinai on Reish Chodesh, based on the Hazeh. One to learn from the midbar to the Yalef Hasam. The Hachanami Ksiv midbar and Bo midbar Sinai. Over here it says midbar Sinai. Over there it says midbar Sinai. It's also what I. And Taisus Teretz is really weird. V'yesh leima Teretz is the Tfei Nichal. He's happier. It's better for him. Lamelaf Hazeh v'lei midbar. True. You have a Gzeira Shav midbar here too, but the Gzeira Shav Hazeh is preferred. And the Rebbe says why inside. Achabi Rebbe Chat is so interesting. This Taisus Teretz Api Nigle is. It remains open. Well, what's the Taisus Teretz? It's better from Hazeh than midbar. Why? Such as the word midbar, certainly in this context, is talking about a place where no man lives. It's above Seder Ishtalshus. The notion of the midbar is hidden. In other words, the allusion to Torah and midbar is the Torah is munach b'keren zavis. Anybody who wants can take it. It's coming from the Ma'ila B'Seder Ishtalshalos. It's hefker and the desert, but the bottom line is a desert, a place where you don't see the Eibishter. The other hand, when you bring a raya, we arrived at Har Sinai Reish Chodesh, even from the word Zeh, it's a positive thing, because the word Zeh is Lashon Hamed Al Gila. The word Zeh connotes direct and exposed revelation. You point with your finger and say, this is my God. The idea of godliness which is altogether beyond comprehension or beyond revelation. This is also what Emes of Midbar comes in a state of Gila. And therefore the second set of words, Vayem Hazeh, is preferred to Midbar, because Vayem Hazeh means that the Gili Elokus is revealed. So first of all, the third month represents Torah, and second of all, Vayem Hazeh means Eibush is revealed. The third diak is Mashakol, so Midbar Sinai Neged, they came to Mount Sinai. And they stood ancient to the mountain, so the Rebbe brings the Gemara. That Har Sinai, the reason the mountain is called Sinai, there's 5 reasons in the Gemara. And one of them is there's 5 names Har Sinai, which emphasizes, first of all, the idea, the nations of the world hate the Jewish people. And I guess on some level, the Jewish people have an issue with the Ummah Elam because of the way they think about Yidden. But the fact that the world thinks negatively of Yidden turns out to be a mile for the Jewish people. So by mentioning Bo Midbar Sinai and Neged Har, we're emphasizing that there's Yarda Sinalei. So the Rebbe should go based on Yonam Shesh Potato. These 2 ideas, that godliness is revealed, and that we have the ability to hate back, so to speak, to hate those who hate us. These 2 ideas both exist in the Torah. Torah is called might, and Torah is called salvation. The ois is for the godly soul, the true is for the nefesh spirit. Just means to say ois, the nefesh, power to the divine soul, which means although it's true that the godly soul is a piece of the Eibush of above Mamish Mekom Kiv and Shadal Matab and Slap, so go for Nefesh Avitiv, the soul comes into a body, and to an animal soul, and to a world. And therefore you need power. Power to live in this world as a Jew. Number 1, Tera has to give strength and might to be able to overcome the obstacles of the world. The Ein Ezel Tera, there's nothing, the word Ez denotes the strength of Tera. Like it says in Tanya, in the first Geirus HaKedesh, which speaks about halachas and the idea of chagra be'ez masneho, lahidia levnei adam gurasa shel Torah, to teach people the power of the Torah, which is keicha ez and chagra be'ez. That the power of Torah is called ez, and chagra, the girdling of ez, which goes on halacha, which has to do with nihi. So oiz means the power of the nefesh elokis to overcome the nefesh habahamis. Then you have the other idea. So the idea that there is sinner, right? The world hates us. We have to overcome that sinner. That's the idea that Torah strengthens us. And the opposite idea, to share that we hate Goyishkeit, is also something that started the Chodesh Sivan. But the Shi, al Nefesh HaBahamis, it saves the Nefesh HaBahamis. The Kiv and Shiri, the Son of Neshama Lamata, whereas the Neshama descended into this world was Leila Takin Asma, didn't have to fix itself. Ki Matakan is the Guf and Nefesh HaBahamis, the Neshama comes into this world to correct its body, its animal soul, its portion of the world, like it says in Kabbalah, it's Chayim. And it's brought in Tanya. And of course, you all know the classic idea that there's 2 statements. They both start the same, but they end differently. The first statement is Haneshama. The beginning of the statement is Haneshama atzma ein tzricha tikkun. The Neshama needs no correction. It's always perfect. Allah, the reason the Neshama comes into this world, lakeir behem chayi nafshu ducha v'nishma, to include the nefesh habahamis and the guf, to uplift the guf and nefesh habahamis. The other quote is Haneshama atzma ein tzricha tikkun. The Neshama knows correction el aliyah, but has an aliyah. And I believe that Rebbe is going to talk to the second idea. To overcome the Yetzirah, you have the idea of Tushia, which is the Hatish Keicha Shal Nefesh HaBahamis, to weaken the strength of the animal soul. Hagash means V'chumish, about the physicality and crudeness that it has. And in the words, Bayom Hazeh Bo Midbar Sinai, you have both ideas. The idea that many are the sinal umeselam, v'heina inyan hatev shenim shechamena liyisrael. Somehow the sinal umeselam is a mailen yidden, and I guess the mailen yidden would be the ois, and the sinal umeselam would be the tushia. And the Rebbe says, "V'adays and asagam inyan abeis haner mezel b'tevus tishid." Miloshan hashatus haner shetel yisaid kol aveda v'chol seder ishtalshus. Hashatus means foundation. And in this case, it means the idea that Tushia is not only a reaction to the Nefesh HaBahamis, it actually is the foundation of everything. The idea of Yesaid. What is Yesaid? That there should be Dede B'Tachtainim. So, Oizu Tushia are really 2 aspects of Nefesh HaLekis versus Nefesh HaBahamis. And on the other hand, the word Tushia represents something very, very deep. But if the Nefesh HaBahamis is already weak, then he can use Tushia in a different way. There's from the word Hashates, which means foundations. Ois the strength, and Shasir means foundations. The Torah is the foundation of the creation of all of the Stalshals. The ultimate purpose is to make this world home for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And of course then, if this can only happen through Neshamis Begufim doing Torah and mitzvahs. By the influence that life that the Oiz V'Toshia has on the person in his guf and in Nefesh HaBahamis and his piece of the world, al dekiyam mitzvahs, by doing mitzvahs. And of course you all know the word does not Perek Lamed Zayin, that every Jew has this avodah. But then the world is divided up into many pieces. Every year is a shtickle world. And when we do our piece, our avodah, where we somehow elevate that piece wherever it may be. So Hashatas means foundations. You said the foundation of all avodah and all Seder Shtalshos is this inyan. So the first idea is B'Chodesh HaShlishi, which represents the idea of the number 3, the union of Torah, etc. And the second idea is of Bayom Hazeh. And of course, Bayom Hazeh doesn't only mean the day we came to Har Sinai, but it means the day of great revelation of godliness. And third of all, Bo Midbar Sinai Shemesham Yod Sinai L'Yelu. So the Rebbe therefore says you have Eiz and Tushia. One of them has to do with Bo Midbar Sinai, the other one has to do with the second idea that he just mentioned of Hashatos, which is a Seid called Aved B'Chol Seder HaShtashlos. Kitachas HaKavani, the whole purpose is Lasos Leis Baruch Dir B'Tachtenu, to make this world for a home for HaKadosh Baruch, which is a nifel, which is accomplished. Ayadei, through Apula, the efforts in the Guf and Nefesh HaBahamis Chalkeom to change the one's body and animal soul on this portion of the world. Aydekiyim a mitzvah, doing mitzvahs, bracket, Tayag mitzvahs de'iraisa, V'zayim mitzvahs de'abana, there's 630 mitzvahs that are been Torah. And the 4 mitzvahs that are made divrei seifim, sheklulim b'aseres adibas, are all included in the original aseres adibas, like it says in Nasag, which is the Oisis of Psad Yigon, which is brought in Rashi, sheyesh b'hen, that have in them, turn to page Shinches Tarach Oisis, 620 Oisis, which corresponds to 620 mitzvahs. So that's the Pshat, Bo Midbar Sinai, to fight off enemies, and Bo Midbar Sinai to make him to receive the Torah. All of this is emphasized in the words Har Sinai. All of Yarad Hashem, on which they wish to descend Litin Ater Yisrael Amen, He the Torah to all of us. Even though Hayayachal Lahale says Har Sinai Yisrael Umei Shalamayil Al Hashem could have raised us up above the world, He didn't want to. Ki Hakavon, the purpose has been seen as giving him the Torah. Hashem could have raised up Har Sinai, and He could have raised up the Yidden, and He could have raised up Moshe Rabbeinu Allah Shamayim, the Neshama Torah, to the heavens, and give them the Torah there. And He didn't do this. Instead, He came down, Ki Hakavani, the point and purpose has been seen as Torah Dafka Lamata Ba'oros, to give a Torah on earth, or Lamata Masar Tvachim, in a very physical way. Lasos Leis Baruch Dir B'Tachtenu, to use the Torah to make this world home for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why it says Bo Midbar Sinai. Bo Midbar Sinai, first of all, means the union of Shemiyam Sad the Sinai Li'elam, and second of all, that you receive the Torah from the Eibusha to know how to fulfill the purpose. In other words, the idea of the B'Tachteinim, the whole idea is that Eibusha wants to come into the low world. That's represented by the words Bo Midbar Sinai. This is another aspect of what this pasuk is indicating in terms of how it's important for the purpose of the creation coming into the world. And I guess we'll call this the second part of the third point. The first part being Shamiyam Yada Sinul Elam, and the second being the idea of Dira B'Tachteinim. Messiah the Kasa finishes later on in addition to the B'Chodesh HaShlishi, in addition to Bayom Hazeh, and in addition to Bo Midbar Sinai, then you have the idea of Yichon Sham Yisrael Loshen Yochad Geshechav Leivechad Muchanim the Kabbalah Torah. We should be prepared to receive the Torah from the Meibusha. There are a few ideas in terms of the preparation for the Torah. The first one is that it was the 3rd month. The second one is that Bayom Hazeh was an from Gila. The third one is Midbar Sinai, which teaches us that they have Oiz V'Toshia Oiz to fight with, to be strengthened against people, and to show me the wicked Nefesh HaBahamis. And the fourth one is that it's Har Sinai, the Shechina came down into this world on Har Sinai instead of raising us up. Or Messiah, because when the pasuk finishes, that on that occasion, we have a fifth idea of Yichon Sham Yisrael, the Jewish people rest as one collective. Lashon Yachid and singular, ki yesh echad lev echad, one man with one heart, mocharim l'kabel Torah, ready to receive the Torah. That's the fifth point. There's b'chodesh hashlishi, there's bayom hazeh, there's midbar Sinai, there's, I suppose you would say Har Sinai, and then the fifth point to be Vichar B'Shal Neged. So this explains how special Rosh Chodesh Sivan is. All of these things happened on Rosh Chodesh. Now, Rabbi Yisai, go back to the beginning of the Maimon. First paragraph, Bisha'a Shehikdimu. Why did I do it this way? Because I wanted to go in chronological order. What we just read is, I guess you could say, 5 miles of Rosh Chodesh, yeah? B'chodesh hashlishi, bayom hazeh, Bo midbar Sinai, Oiz v'tushia, and then of course L'mato bahar Sinai, and then Vayichon Sham Yisrael. These are the 5 miles of Rosh Chodesh. Now we go back to the beginning of the Maimon and we read what happened a couple of days later. Right, these events that we just read happened on a Monday. Now we move to Friday, and this is of course the Gemara Masechta Shabbos, and there's a Medrash which says something different, which is discussed at length in Chassidus, etc., etc. Says the Rebbe Bisha'a Shehikdimu Yisrael Na'asa ונשמע, when the 8 Yidden said Na'asa ונשמע, which is already 2 in Yonim, but they said it in a Seder of Kedim as Na'asa ונשמע. They said Na'asa before Nishma Bo Shi Shemri Shemalachei Hasharis. 600,000 angels came. L'chol echad echad Yisrael, to every single Jew. So how do you read it? Every single Yid had 600,000 malachim, or 600,000 malachim to 600,000 Jews, or was it 2 malachim per person? Because each one was going to get 2 crowns. And kosh to every single Jew, and kosh they tied on each Yid shnei ksarim, 2 crowns, echad keneged nasa, echad keneged nishma, one for nasa, one for nishma. And of course the famous chassidus, if Yidden are getting crowns not for saying nasa and not for saying nishma, it's for a gdimu nasa lenishma. They should either get 1 crown for the gdimu, or 3 crowns. Higdimu, Nasa, Nishma. I think I had only 2. And the Rebbe brings a Medrash in Pashas Kedeshim that there actually were 3 crowns. The crown of Nasa was given to Yidden. The crown of Nishma was given to Yidden. The crown of Bisha'a Shehikdimu, the Eibush to keep Tzvayach. And this happened on the 5th of Sivan, which was Hakdama, Hachana, Keli. Wouldn't you want to know what the word Hachana, Hachana, and Keli mean? Hakdama means an introduction. Hachana means a preparation, and Keli means a vessel. The Matan Teiro Kabbalah said for the Eibush giving us the Teira, and of course us taking the Teira. This happened Friday, Hey Sivan. Okay, move and Gam Hemshech Hasugya. That's indicative from the Hemshech Gemara in Masechta Shabbos. Omar Ravanan the Saginon Bishlei Musa. Ksiv ben Tumas Yesharim Tanchem Mashenkin Leipach Esiyim Makos. That the Yidden, the Saginon means we bowed, we served Hashem perfectly. So we're called Ben Tumas Yesharim. That Avodas Hashem had a certain Tmim, was a certain Shleimus. And how were Yidden Zeicha to this Tumas? Hainu Tumas Yisrael Shehikdimu Na'asa Nishma. By saying Na'asa before Nishma, they had a certain Timimus and Shleimus in their preparations to receive the Torah. Mashenkin Lehepech Kisiyim Apasuk. Hainu Tumas, some Shei Yisrael, the sincerity, the wholeness of the Jewish people is because Shehikdimu Na'asa Nishma. And it was Haisa Haderech, it was the road Shehinchesa Oisa that led them Tanchem Lagila Matantet to actually getting the Torah. So Rabbi Yisai Rosh Chodesh Sivan Umer in the Kegelui. Hey Sivan, there were additional groups. Yidden said Na'asa ונשמע. And of course Yidden said Na'asa ונשמע, as I explained to you in my introduction, along with a Geirus and a Korban and Mikveh and Ritzoi and Kabbalah Mitzvahs, which of course is Na'asa ונשמע. And Vayikru Sefer Abris, and so on. It says the Rebbe Shechamisha B'Sivan, the 5th day of Sivan, Hayikva B'nei Yisrael B'tachas HaShlemus. Yidden are ultimately perfect. In the part that we read first, we're talking about Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh Yidden also were so excited to get the Torah, they've been counting the days. And then they come on a day which is called Shlishi. And they come on a day which is called Bayom Hazeh. And they come to a place which is called Har Sinai. And they come to a place which is called Midbar Sinai. And they come on a Viyahan Sham Yisrael Neged. There are all kinds of beautiful milas that happen in Rosh Chodesh, which arguably would justify the Eibush giving Torah then. Then comes Hey Sivan, you have no milas. They said Na'asa ונשמע, and Higdimu Na'asa ונשמע. And therefore, Hayikva B'nei Yisrael B'tachas HaShlemus, they're perfectly whole. First of all, Higdimu Na'asa ונשמע, they said Na'asa before Nishma. Second of all, Ad Shamalach, until the angels of service Kashu tied. Every single Yid, Shnei Ksarim, 2 crowns, Echad Keneged Na'asa, Echad Keneged Nishma, one that corresponds to Na'asa, and the one that corresponds to Nishma. Okay, do as this known the idea of a crown, which is amongst kings themselves, they're most important. Because the crown is what makes a king beautiful. It's the makah which is above ishtashus. So, when the Yidden said Na'asa ונשמע, they achieved a certain shleimus, and they were deserving of the two ksarim, which is an inyan for makif. And of course, the Rebbe's point is, if Rosh Chodesh Sivan there were so many miles which warranted the giving the Torah, Chamisha b'Sivan alachas kama v'kama. Go back to page Shin Yud Ches, and we read weiter. V'kiva, whereas Shekvar b'Rosh Chodesh Sivan hayu b'nei Yisrael b'tachas ili, if on Rosh Chodesh Yidden was such a high level that they deserved to receive the Torah then because they had b'Chodesh HaShlishi and b'Yom Hazeh and Midbar Sinai and Dartin Tacht Lamata, and also the idea of a Yichon Sham Yisrael. Allah has kama v'kama v'chamisha, but Sivan certainly 5 days later, the 5th of Sivan, which is Erev Shabbos for them. Bisha'a Shehikdimu, na'asa ונשמע, Yidden actually said Na'asa before Nishma. Malachi Ashar, as a consequence of Yidden saying Na'asa ונשמע, the Malachim came along and kosher, they gave every single Jew in a way that they tied it down on him. Shnei Kisam, the two crowns, Echad Keneged Na'asa, Echad Keneged Nishma, one corresponds to Na'asa, one corresponds to Nishma. Nevertheless, La'achad, it calls it after all of this, Yeshnei Harash, Hagodol is the great tumult. Shebenesi, Na'asa Teda B'Shisha, B'Sivan, that they got the Teda the 6th of Sivan. Haremuchach was that this proves Geid al-Achidish, that there's a new novelty, Shenes Chadesh, Eitzel B'nei Yisrael Oz, that was given to the Jewish people then. And the Rebbe's question is, in other words, the Rebbe asking a Pasha Takash. There was so many Giloim before Matan Torah almost seems anticlimactic. What happened Shishi B'Sivan? What happened Shabbos? There was so much revelation leading up to it that Shavuos was, what happened? Or to say it alternatively, why did they have to wait? Why couldn't they get it before Rosh Chodesh and Sivan? These are the questions. It's one question. And now comes the answer. And the answer is, you can prepare all you want. The actual meeting between Yidden and Hashem and the giving of the Torah transcends it all. And here's how. It says that the answer to this question is it requires us to revisit the beginning of the Seres HaDibros. Seres HaDibros begin as follows: godliness in a level of concealment. Speaks. And of course, in this case, it means all the following words, lamer. Now, Rabbi Isai, we all know what lamer means. Lamer means to repeat. And Har Sinai, every Jew was present. Moreover, every Jew of all generations was present. So who's repeating? In this case, the word lamer is not understandable. Because you cannot compare to the regular use of the word lamer all over the Chumash. Because normally lamer means shapirish, lamer is lost to tell somebody else. Mashain came by said as a difference in the compass of the Ten Commandments. You cannot say that lamer means to tell somebody else. It's impossible to say that lamer means to tell somebody else. Shall they call you so Shama? We were all there, we all got the Torah. Especially when you add what the Medrash says. You call the Neshama Sasidis Lias B'Chaladeir. So Neshama the future generations. Ha, you base Matan Torah V'Kibbutz Torah. Also were there when Hashem gave and we took. So Ibazeh, what's the limit? Who's repeating? So the first kash of this Maimed is what happened Shavuos that didn't happen Erev Shavuos and Rosh Chodesh and all the other preliminary days with all their great Giloyim. And second of all, what's the Pshat Limit? V'yadu Abir that the teretz is as follows. The meaning of the word lamer is not to repeat to somebody else, but rather to repeat after the Eibishter. Because the Matan Torah, or the Eibishter gave us the Torah nitnei akech. Strength was provided. L'chol echad misrael, every single Jew shall limud Torah yiyeh etzlei be'efen, that any time any Jew learns any Torah, it's in such a way of lamer. Vos meint lamer, lachzer v'lamer, to repeat and speak, as divrei Yad Hashem, the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kamesh and Emel Moshe Sinai. Lamer means when Hashem gave the Torah, He gave the Torah into us. And when a Yid learns, he's not learning, he's repeating after the Eibishter. Always. Always. It's like the idea that you have in Chassidus, that the Eibishter puts words in our mouth. It's not like human speech, where you speak and other people listen. It's divine speech. And what's the pshat divine speech? The Eibishter puts his words into our mouth. We're repeating after HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's such layman, not to tell someone who wasn't there, but layman to repeat what we heard in such a way that we're repeating after the Eibishter. Kikol, and he brings the Chazal, the other Chazal, which is l'chor, the lower madrege, but here he brings it for the higher inyan. Kikol, ha'kedev v'shein, anybody learns Mikra Mishnah, skip the bracket. HaKadosh Baruch Hu kedev v'shein kineged, Hashem reads Mikra and Mishnah. Opposite him, in other words, when a Yid learns Torah, the Eibishter is repeating. Not after the Yid, but the Eibishter is repeating and the Yid is repeating after him. And that's his Chachas and Torah. Which is why the halach is, it's brought in Chazal. When a Yid learns, it has to be filled with fear, just like it was the first time. Anytime a Yid learns Torah, anytime in any place, it's the Vara de Shem Mamish, it's the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mamish, with the Meshach Rabbeinu Sinai. And that's layman. The Eibishter said the word of Aseres HaDibros. And of course, as you'll see later, Aseres HaDibros includes all the Dibros, and the whole Torah, Shabbat Peh, v'chuli, v'chuli. And that any time any Yid learns Torah, he's simply repeating after the Eibishter. I just want to make a clarification or an emphasis, and this may be entirely my error, but the Rebbe brings two ideas as one. Tan l'shani imrasecha is explained in Chassidus. It's a pasuk in Tilim, in Kuf Yates, which we're learning this year, that we're repeating after him. Now, I always understood to mean that he's repeating after us. And I saw them as two different levels, and I hope I didn't imagine it. But it's very clear here that the Rebbe says the same thing. And they are both saying that when we study Torah, we're actually only repeating after the Eibishter. Siv Gimel, page Shin Yud Tes. The pshat is as follows. Hemshech, what does it say in the next pasuk after lamed, after Vaydaber Elikim lamed, which means to repeat after the Eibishter. In the next pasuk it's written, I am God, your God, took you out of the land of Egypt. And of course the last two words are Mi Beis Avodah. And of course the word Ankhi means I. Hashem means God, Elokecha means your God. And of course in Chassidus, each of these three words is developed and explained. But here it focuses on the word Ankhi. Of course, you know that the Chazal say that it's Lashon Mitzri, but it's incorporated into Lashon HaKodesh, and it's the beginning of the Aseres HaDibros. Like you all know, it says in Chassidus, the world's creation begins with the Beis, the Torah's creation begins with the Aleph. When the Eibishter gave us the Torah, he gave us himself. And that's the Pshat Leim, and when Yid learns Torah, he's repeating after the Eibishter. And when the Eibishter gave us the Torah, that's when we were free. We went out of Egypt 50 days before. 50 days before we went out of Egypt. Nevertheless, we say, by the Eibishter giving himself to us in the Torah, now, and what does this mean? We call all narrowness, all limitation, all measure, and all limitation. Even though the Jewish people merited many schusim before. Like what happened the day they left Egypt, and happened by Kriyas Yamsuf, and the day the Mun fell, and what happened to Chodesh Sivan, what happened there of Matan Teda, and so forth. Says the Rebbe, there were so many wonderful things that happened. There were so many wonderful things that happened to the Jewish people from the time they left Egypt till they came to Har Sinai. Many. And of course the term that we use to articulate how special they were is called Giluyim, divine revelations. Says the Rebbe, all of these divine revelations are only preparatory, only setting the stage. Why? Because there was no Hoytesicha Meretz Mitzrayim. The Rebbe isn't translating Hoytesicha Meretz Mitzrayim as now. Now we're becoming free. Now we're leaving Mitzrayim. We left Mitzrayim 50 years earlier, but of course there's such a thing, Mitzrayim de Kedusha. There's many levels of Mitzrayim. When you go out of one limitation, you go into a new limitation. When did the Yidden go out of limitation in such a way that there's absolutely no limitation after that at all? Only by Matan Teda. And that separates it from all the preliminary days. And that's the answer to the question. The question was, if there's so many Nisim, what's special about Matan Teda? So the answer is by prefacing first the Lamed and explaining that when the Eibishter gave us the Torah, we're repeating after him. And now that he explained what's special about the day the Eibishter gave us the Torah, he's explaining further what happened on that. So he says, key 4 lines at the page in Yetes Kol Loim Shulfnei, all the wonderful things that happened leading up to that date. He first of all, Rak HaCheresh HaNevram, we only reached the beginning of creation, which is Elam Abriya. Well, Amayla Yez HaCheresh HaNetzolim, read the source of the emanating light, which is Elam Atzilus. Well, Kamavur Ben Agel Avodas Avos, like it says in Chassidus about the Avos. Sha'af Shahoyse B'Tachas Ha'ila, they served Hashem on the highest of levels. At Shehigia Leirak La'elam B'Yad, the Avos did not only reach the levels of the 4 worlds. Atzilus B'Yad Tzil, Al-Gam Elam Seitzof, they reached himself higher than Atzilus. Still, at Egam Elam Seitzof, even the way Yidden reached the Elam Seitzof, it's Bechinas Elamus. It's in the category of worlds. It also what that can only reach the beginning of creation and emanation and not higher. So the Avos were on a very high level, and their avodah was limited. Their reach was limited, and therefore a Yid with all the Giluyim, his avodah is also limited. Mashen came about in Torah as opposed when Hashem gave us the Torah, because Hoye is Gal Samaitzel. It was the revelation of the source of light. Well, the Hemshech was the Eibush to himself. And these 2 Giluyim of Hamaitzel Atzmei and Hamshachas Ha'atzmos exceed all the Giluyim that happened before in such a way that they become inconsequential. And even though even before Beis Yetzias Mitzrayim, when Yidden left Egypt, it says in Chassidus, based on this Siddur, and of course, we explained from the Rebbe Rashab the Kfei the Yid Malchus Dein Seifim Atzmei is Teferes Atmos Ein Tzal. I skipped 2 lines. Nevertheless, even though when we left Egypt to a great revelation, it was temporary. That although there was a great revelation from on high, they never come on with us. Moreover, we did also Sfiras Ha'emer. Which is about Birud themselves, the Rebbe nevertheless, even though in this service, the Yidden brought clarity and upliftedness to all of the days. What you do, as we know, and a Yem Shleisha Yom. When we say Shnei Yom, we mean to say not the 2nd day, but 2 days. We say the 3rd day, we say the 3rd day, not 3 days. We say the 4th day, we say the 4th day, not 4 days. Because they took the days with them. Even the 49th day, they didn't count the days, they took the days with them. It's not a mispesiduri. The whole each day you raise it the day before. And as the Shevish, they have 7 complete weeks. With all the miles of 7 complete weeks, you have all the midas. From Chesed Shebechesed to Malchus Shebechesed. And the Rebbe says, so, Yidden had so much preparation, so much Giluyim, Simon Mila, Simon Mata. Says the Rebbe Mekomokam, nevertheless, Be'erech Hagil the mountain Torah. What happens when Hashem came down on the mountain of Chodesh and gave us the Torah? Everything before is B'Shem Mitzrayim. Everything is limited. Sivan Veda. Zu, whatever service they did leading up to Yetzias Mitzrayim, is B'Medid the Vakbolis measured and limited. The Firachim Keich V'Chal Hanבראים must do with their own limitation. Achachir is the Matan Torah. When the Eibush gave us the Torah, He gave us Himself and He gave us His power. Like by Yed, the Hashem al Har Sinai, Hashem comes down on the mountain Dalmeish, Amar Alei tells Moshe to rise up. Moreover, Ani Amaschal, first Hashem descends and then man rises up. There was the provision of strength from above. That Hashem gave us a keach. That we would later do avodah mulmata, it would be like avodah mulmayla. Should reach the highest source. Okay, and the reason he gives it, so even though when the Eibush comes down on the mountain, we rise up to him, because we're rising up to him as a response to the power that he gave us by coming down on the mountain. We have a koyach that comes directly from him. And therefore, Na'asa as bil b'chol seder eshtachos, all of the order of things is entangled. And all diverse aspects are unified, and that's why you have Reinas and Nishma b'sheinas anira. What's normally seen is heard, what's normally heard is seen. So what's the Rebbe saying? The Rebbe is saying Har Sinai is different. Har Sinai is different because Ankhi is revealed. What happens when Ankhi is revealed? You reach Atzmos and you reveal Atzmos. And until that day, they had all the wonderful Giluyim, they didn't have Atzmos. They had Nevroyim, they had Ne'etzolim, they didn't have Atzmos. They had Bria, they had Atzilus, they didn't have Atzmos. By Matan Torah, they received Atzmos. Let's finish. We all know what Arizal teaches on the pasuk Vayom and this kind of announcement. These days are remembered, and they happen again. That when you remember them, they happen again. Moving, it's understood. Every idea happened the first time around, and as the Rebbe just explained, that the Matan Torah, the layman of Matan Torah, and the Neicha of Matan Torah, and all those other aspects make Matan Torah so much harder than the days leading up to it. Every year it happens again. Moving, it's understood. Everything happened the first time around. This kind of they're remembered, and they happen again each year because we made the Hachon. Then use the Rebbe, and he says, "Well, that Rebbe Shana do was true this year." We all counted Sfira. We're almost finished three. Especially this year, meaning Tavshavan 1978. Shabbos at the last day of Sfira's Shabbos, and Shavuos must have been Sunday. Then it's literally whole, like it says in Medrash. Either Medrash, and of course we all know what the Rebbe said in Tavshin and Aleph, that this is called Tmimes, because I feel at Tzdukim items. The Rebbe indicated that when the Tzdukim agree that this is Shabbat Masas Tmimes, and there's certain Shleimus, even though Lachayr, who cares about the Tzdukim? Says the Rebbe, in addition to this idea that when a Yom Tov comes, we repeat, we think about it, and it happens again. There's the other types in the Medrash. A Masahin Tmimes, one is the Sfiras Aim and Whole and Perfect. You didn't do the will of HaKadosh Baruch. So the Arizal is saying that every year these in Yom Shavuos repeat themselves, and on a higher level than the year before. After Sivan, and how great that day is. Says the Rebbe, was Tuesday. That year was Tuesday, not Sunday. Which is double Kitev. In the third month, it's also the Bayom Hashlishi B'Shavua, the third day in the week. And then, of course, you have Agdama. It's not the Venetian Chamisha, which is Erev Shavuos. Says the Rebbe, Kol Elu Mailas Elu, all of these wonderful advantages, and Beifah Shamadid the Bagbal, they're considered still limited. Rabbi Gil the Matan Torah, we're compared to Matan Torah itself. We shall do this year, which is Kel Gam Lagabahi in Matan Torah B'Shana Sha'avra. So every year Matan Torah is higher than the years before. The Yirat never concludes. Shenishlam is Kala Achanas Matan Torah B'Shlemusim, which should complete all of our preparation, which includes Kabbalah Satera B'Simcha B'Pnimis, like the Friedrich Rebbe said, Obizman Matan Torah, from the occasion of Shavuos and giving of the Torah and us receiving the Torah. Yom Shechal Hashana Kula, to continue the whole year, which have a Shnas Torah and Shnas Eid and Shnas Geula B'Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu. Shilam Torah is called Laim Kula, taken from the Yad Mamish, or the Lashon inside is Bakar of Mamish. This is the Maimed. This is the Maimed. I hope it was clear. I mean, it's not a hard Maimed. The Nekudas HaMaimed is that all the preparations is only Giloy Matan Torah's Atzmas. Now, if I was a good boy, was a mensch, I would actually try and explain what's the difference between saying that until then was only Shedish Min HaNבראים or Shedish HaNatzlim and not higher. Exactly what were they missing out of? But the bottom line is Matan Torah is higher than all the preparations. So the mitzvah tomorrow will do another Maimed.